a little bit more dialed in. Boom, there we go. Alright. Take that off. What's going on, y'all? Just going live. Gonna let some people fill in here while we get lunch settled in. We're gonna talk about some practice squad signings today. Big day today for the Detroit Lions. Kind of like the moves that we made here, y'all. We'll give it some time, let people kind of fill in. Get some lunch going here. Everyone having a good day, yo. If you're watching this after, I appreciate it. See if anyone wants to come hang out live before we get rolling. Just gonna briefly discuss some practice squad signings here. Got a little beef and broccoli action going on with some rice. You know what I'm saying, man? I was saying yesterday, gotta eat healthy, dude. Gotta take care of yourself. Got to take care of yourself. Give it a couple minutes here. And if you're watching this post live stream, I appreciate you kind of, slogging through this. And go ahead and fast forward a little bit here. Probably give it maybe another minute before we start delving into it. So if you're watching after, go ahead and skip to about the 3-minute mark. About 3-minute mark. We're about 2 minutes in right now. So just give it some time. Be patient, give it some time. Oh, man, my back is killing me. Mix up that. See, the trick is you gotta microwave it in intervals, you see, so that you can evenly kind of mix everything up and get a decent reheat on the leftovers, especially when you got it looks like a little kind of like a honey soy sauce type situation going on in here. You kind of want to mix that in a little bit. And don't get it twisted. It's not like I'm eating a boatload of broccoli. There's 2 pieces. So don't get it twisted. I'm not like that guy. But we are gonna we'll get them in. We'll get them in and we'll get them down somehow, some way. All right, so we're at the 3-minute mark. Let's go ahead and get this shit show on the road. If people want to come in, hang out, it's cool. If not, whatever. So we got things going. Got the news today on who the Lions brought back on the practice squad. I'm not going to go over every single position. Just going to go over some guys that I liked that we brought back. First and foremost, we needed a quarterback to roll in the practice squad. And Lions went ahead and brought back a familiar face. Someone who has spent a little bit of time in Allen Park working with the Lions, and that person is not Nate Sudfeld. Thankfully it is not Nate Sudfeld, man. I don't know what I'd have done if we'd have retained Nate Sudfeld, dude. But we did actually, just like I said we were gonna do, we kept Jake Fromm. So Jake Fromm will be on the Lions practice squad, and that's nice. He's younger than Sudfeld, a little bit more dynamic of a player. He'll be able to give you good looks there against, throughout the week on the practice squad. And then it also gives you just a little bit more of a comfort level of depth, knowing that in the event of something happening to Jared Goff, that we do have a reserve player on the practice squad who has a little bit of familiarity with the players and Ben Johnson's terminology and that type of stuff. Excuse me. Sorry about that, fellas. We did go kind of heavy in the wide receiver room. Another room that I kind of wanted to look at. Last night while we were doing live stream, I can't remember who it was. One of you guys broke the news, and it was confirmed a little bit later in the evening that the Lions did go and get Fireball Tim Patrick from the Denver Broncos off of waivers. And I know that some people are like, oh, Fireball Tim Patrick's hurt. Yeah, dude, but Fireball Tim Patrick put up 2 back-to-back 700-plus receiving yard seasons. And I think he had 5 touchdowns or more in both of those seasons with fucking Drew Lock and a less than stellar Teddy Bridgewater, right? Like that's not gonna cut it, dude. That's not gonna fly. Um, sorry, those guys aren't very good. Sorry, I got sidetracked looking at the mess that I was making. So he's productive with subpar quarterbacking. You put him in a high flying, very, very high octane offense like Ben Johnson has. You give him a good quarterback. You make him not have to be the guy, right? He doesn't have to be that guy. He's got to be, as I was saying yesterday, a /3 wide receiver, right? Someone who can rotationarily come in, give you some big plays. He's 6'5", so he makes an awesome red zone target. And he's not the oldest guy. I think he's like 28 years old. So he adds a veteran, like a seasoned presence, but not necessarily like a veteran leadership role. A guy who has been in the league long enough, who's been through some ups and downs, both with physical and with team performance things. So Tim Patrick comes onto the practice squad. Will probably eventually get moved up to the 53-man active roster. We did retain Detroit legend TK85, so Tom Kennedy 85 will be sticking around on the practice squad. I myself, big fan of TK85. I like his work ethic. I like what the guy does. And he makes plays. When given an opportunity, he makes plays. Detroit Fan, hey, it's about time. Now if we only got Timmy P, A-Rob, and Time Machine, we almost failed. Yeah, dude, that was... so the next guy I was going to talk about was Allen Robinson, actually, and like, I don't like it, man. I don't like Allen Robinson being in house. Not a fan. He's old and washed and old. And does he do? I mean, other than being a big body veteran, what does he bring to the table? I'm not too fond of Allen Robinson or his like Allen Robinson seems like the kind of cat that got paid and then just stopped giving a fuck. You know what I mean? So I'm not happy about that. I'm not thrilled. I'm not like kicking and stomping and throwing a hissy fit over Allen Robinson. I mean, it is a practice squad signing. I don't think he's that great. You know what I mean? He's super washed up. But and then the tight end room. I mean, yeah, we also running back room. We did retain Jamar Jefferson for whatever that's worth. You guys know I'm not a big fan of Jamar Jefferson. And then the tight end room. We went and brought back both James Mitchell and Shane Zylstra. I do like both of those, both because Hesse or Hesse or Hesse, the tight end that we kept from, I think he played in New Orleans, more of a fullback type blocking tight end. You don't know necessarily what you're going to get out of him long term, and in the event that something happens to like Sam Laporta or Brock Wright, both Shane Zylstra and James Mitchell are familiar with the offense, so keeping them on practice squad is nice because you can elevate them up midweek in case something happens to either of the top two tight ends and you're a little bit shallow, on the roster. So I like the retention of. I'm not really sold on either one of these guys being a long-term solution for the Detroit Lions at tight end. Obviously, Sam Laporta's kind of got that locked up, but I like keeping them because they're experienced with the organization. I like that we don't have to go and bring someone from another organization in if they got signed away just to add a practice squad player. You get a little bit of familiarity, camaraderie, that type of shit. So offensively, my big takeaways were that we kept Jake Fromm, we kept TK85, went after Fireball Tim Patrick. I do not like Allen Robinson. I like both the tight end signings. I like bringing both those guys in. Tonight's going to be a little bit more sped up, y'all. I do have a little bit of work I got to get done tonight. So we're definitely not going to be doing another hour-long live stream. Just putting that out there. That's why I'm kind of just like rifling through it real quick and just being more mundane and droning on. I do got some shit I got to take care of tonight. Oh, broccoli's terrible. And it's not like she didn't cook it well. She cooked it great. I just hate broccoli. So Mary's one. Oh, okay. Yeah, he is a Detroit kid. Oops. Right, yeah. The practice squad will vet. Yeah. Look, I get what they're trying to do with Allen Robinson, but god damn, I hate broccoli. Ugh. I feel like Kevin Malone. I do not like broccoli, but with the beef and broccoli, you got to eat the broccoli first, right? So that it's done and over with. And then you can eat the beef and shit, right? Ugh. Okay. All right. fuck is my water bottle? No. And yes, A-Rob is better than DJP. I will 100% give you that. I think Allen Robinson brings you at least experience in that he's been to deep runs in playoffs. Broccoli is good for you. Yeah, well, that's great. I'm glad broccoli is good for me. That's why I'm getting it. I'm getting it down. I'm getting it in. We'll try and pair it with a little bit of beef. Allen Robinson does bring a veteran leadership for the guy who's been in organizations that have had success, so he knows how to win games. I just don't know if Allen Robinson's brain is all there. And again, as you get older, especially in a skilled position like the wide receiver room, obviously he's going to lose a step eventually. He's going to slowly become more of a possession wide receiver. Is that something that we need when we have, Amon-Ra, Khalif, Isaiah Williams, those guys? I know Amon-Ra has a lot of yak yards, but other than JMO, you don't have really many guys that can stretch the field. And obviously, Allen Robinson's not going to be a guy who can go out there and stretch the field. But whatever, practice squad isn't really going to hurt much to have a veteran presence there to just kind of help, be a leader. And defensively, there was only 3 guys that of note that we were able to keep on the practice squad. CJ Moore, I'm not upset about that. Again, the CJ Moore thing's kind of like it's more of a reward for sticking around with the organization. You've been through a little bit with the suspension last year. I do like what CJ Moore does bring. He's a little bit more of a hard-nosed type guy. And in situations, because, maybe Brian Branch isn't 100% ready to go by the start of the season. If Melifonwu's dinged up, anything happens to Kirby Joseph. CJ Moore brings a veteran presence, a leader possibly on the field that has been there for a little bit, with the organization. I do like his physicality on the field. He likes to go and stick a lick on a cat, Practice squad is about where he belongs, though. I wouldn't feel confident with CJ Moore being that guy, long term in the safety spot for a longer than 2-week stint in the event of a injury catastrophe that happens in the safety room. Kyle Peko, just like I said, was going to be able to slide out from underneath everybody. There was going to be too many people with too many needs, and Kyle Peko was going to probably slide under everybody's radar. I was correct in that assumption, and he was able to come back and be signed to the Lions practice squad. That is a nice addition because, again, with DJ Reader having, just now getting into practice, Broderick Martin being hurt, the Kaminsky injury, you're a little bit limited and a little bit light in the middle there at the defensive tackle spot heading into week 1, hypothetically, unless DJ Reader's ready to rock and roll. So you bring Kyle Peko back, and again, the practice squad players, I tend to kind of reiterate myself time and time again. Experience in the organization, the coaches know what they're getting out of the guy, right? He can come in and play intermittently. You're not going to want to hang your hat on the dude to be your long-term solution. You're going to want to kind of focus more of those reps on developing a Mekhi Wingo, letting Aleem McNeil do his thing. Hopefully DJ Reader can continue to be what he was in Cincinnati. Give yourself a little bit more of a run defender that helps open up lanes for blitzing linebackers, Aiden Hutchinson, et cetera, et cetera. I like a big fat-ass defensive tackle right in the middle. Big fat ass! I like a big fat ass right in the middle there. So I do like the Kyle Peko re-signing. And then lastly, Isaac Okuwu, who was I would say he was a preseason standout, a camp hero, was making plays all preseason long, a nice little a rush edge there. He was able to get, pressure consistently against teams, not their starting offensive lines, but the people that they went out and started in the preseason. He made a lot of plays, a lot of splash plays. You kept seeing him flash on the screen. I really, really like the Kyle Okuwu that he was able to make it through waivers and we were able to bring him back in-house. What I see with the players who we released, some of them we had some question marks about, right? Like the Shane Zylstra, the James Mitchell, like the Okuwu. I was kind of confused about the Okuwu because I would have rather kept Okuwu over a James Houston. I made myself pretty clear about that. Kyle Peko, I was pretty sure is going to rotate through waivers and be able to get re-brought back into house on the practice squad. Again and again and again, time and time again, we're able to prove that Brad Holmes knows something that nobody else does in the NFL, and he can look inside his magic little 8 ball, and he knows what's going to happen before things are going to happen. He knows how things are going to shake out, and he is significantly ahead of the curve for the compared to the rest of the NFL coaching staffs, general managers, that type of situation. Brad Holmes has something that he's allowed to look, just even if it's a cunt hair in the future, he's able to look into the future and see what's going on and assess and address his team. He's able to make moves. We're not going to talk about Trinity Benson. That was a shit move. Donovan Peoples-Jones, that was kind of a shit move. But you know what? Those guys, we didn't really give up much to get. I think both of them cost us a 6th-round pick each, so it's not like we really had a lot vested. If we look at Brad Holmes' draft experience, he loves to trade away 3rd and 6th-round picks. I'm not mad about it. We have to now, be it that we're this long into the Brad Holmes tenure, the success that we had last year, the consistent development of young talent in-house, the players that he goes after who we might question at the time, tend to be a bountiful find for Brad Holmes. He's good at finding these gems, these diamonds in the rough, and we just need to really just trust Brad Holmes on what he's going to do. And the players that were able to be cut and then cycled back through, I think, is a prime example of Brad Holmes knowing what he's doing. So since it seems no human can defeat him, what do you think ends first? Tom Kennedy's term on the roster or 14? Oh, wow. That's a good question. That's a good question. That's kind of hard to answer. So the question was, who do you see lasting longer? Tom Kennedy's tenure in-house, or the Lions keeping that 14-year? Now we have 14 years, 14 consecutive years of having an undrafted rookie free agent on the active roster starting week 1. And the reason that that's hard to answer is because, if this is choppy, someone was just trying to call me. I'm sorry. If the audio was just messed up, someone was trying to call me. Last year, at the end of the year, right? I mean, hell, even 4 months ago, post-draft, none of us really were looking at anybody in the undrafted pool that we were going to be like, that's a guy who's going to make the roster, right? Like, who would have ever thought Isaiah Williams was going to be on this roster post-draft? We didn't even look at a wide receiver in the draft. You know what I'm saying? Like, we had no intentions, and then things kind of shook out, and this guy, really worked his tail off, made enough plays, overcame all the odds. So, to answer that question, you'd have to kind of be able to see who the undrafted rookie free agent class would be next year. If I were to just compare assholes to elbows, I would say that Tom Kennedy being in the organization will end sooner than the Lions' streak of 14 consecutive, which would then be 15 consecutive years of having an undrafted rookie free agent, just because, again, Brad Holmes knows how to find these guys, right? He can see it. He can find these guys. Look at what he's able to do with Sione Vaki, right? He can see something in guys, and there's a greater than 50% chance that next year there will be some cat, right, who comes into camp as an undrafted rookie free agent and just works his tail off and just makes play after play after play. So much so that, like Isaiah Williams, you can't not have him on the roster. You know what I'm saying? It's either too talented to allow them to go someplace else. You know what I'm saying? Nice analysis. I think the UD eventually defeats Tom. Maybe 3 more years. Yeah, and that's the thing. It's 3 years from now, if the team continues on their climb to where they're at, how many guys, how much are you going to be looking at these undrafted rookie free agents, for one? Because if we continue to be this perennial winning program, right, this organization that wins and has regular NFC Championship appearances, if not Super Bowl appearances and wins, how many more, years is it going to be where you're fighting for free agents, as opposed to free agents wanting to come here to play for less, which will then cut into the availability and the necessity to have undrafted rookie free agents fill out your roster. The reason that I see that tenure being so long, that record being so long, is because, let's be honest, for so long, we've been a terrible, terrible team. couldn't draft for shit, right? No free agents wanted to come here. So you have to fill out the roster with undrafted rookie free agents. And as you continue to develop to be a better program or a better organization, I think the smaller and smaller that door or that window becomes for the availability for those guys to make a name for themselves. And that's not saying that we won't give the option or the availability for guys to come in and make plays. It's just that, like, look at all the plays that Isaiah Williams and how hard he had to grind it out this year. Let's be honest, it probably came down to him and a couple other cats. Oh, it's all right, Lou Bega. Look, man, I appreciate you stopping by, bro. I was kind of let off with it. I do got to kind of get rolling here. I got a couple projects that I got to get wrapped up here tonight. It's not like real hard stuff, but it's something that I do got to get it banged out. So, unfortunately, I will be ending the stream here in about 3 or 4 minutes. But if I think I said all I need to say about the undrafted rookie free agent streak. If all of that makes sense, I hope that makes sense. As you get better, that window gets smaller, and the necessity to fill the roster out with players due to lack of free agents wanting to come here. People are going to want to come here and play, especially because Dan Campbell is such a player's coach. You know what I'm saying? But what this does do, and let me just kind of finish with this, is the mentality of finding these guys, digging for these guys, really creating competition in camp so that the best of the best, the cream rises to the top, you know what I'm saying? Bodes well for future NFL head coaching opportunities for, say, a Ben Johnson, an Aaron Glenn, maybe even like a Calvin Shepard eventually, you know what I'm saying? These guys are all now learning how this success works, how you give guys opportunities, how you create healthy competition amongst one another so that you get the very best out of everybody, and that the roster that then you are set with heading into week 1 is the very best roster that you can field with all of the available players at your disposal, be it undrafted rookie free agents, guys that you've drafted, free agents that you brought in. So I would probably go again and say Tom Kennedy will not be with the organization before we break that undrafted rookie free agent streak, simply because TK85 is getting up there in years, and there are players who, the talent level of young athletes is getting so much higher and higher as we continue to have advancements in sports medicine and understanding how bodies work, the mechanics. And let's be honest, you're seeing these 6th grade kids now that are fucking jacked, dude. Like, there are kids in high school now who look like D1 athletes in their 5th year. Like, this is insane, man. So I don't know, man. That's probably all I really got to say. Dude, turn around. Your microwave is on fire. My microwave's on fire. If only, dude. If only my microwave was on fire, I would be like so happy, because I would not pull an alarm. I wouldn't do anything to even remotely stop it. I would simply and calmly gather all of my belongings, clear out my locker, head to my truck, and then just drive home. That's probably what would happen. And then I would never come back, and I would have no qualms. They would call me, and they would call me, and they would simply just get voicemail after voicemail after voicemail, because that, indeed, if my microwave turned into a burning bush right now, that would be a sign. That would be a true sign. So, guys, Lou Bega, Detroit fan, man. I appreciate you guys coming and hanging out, interacting with the chat. Big shout out to you guys. Thanks for hitting like. Again, sorry it was a little bit shorter of a stream, but hey, we're kind of working towards it, and we might, just keep at it. So I'll put a community post up maybe tomorrow, see if you guys want to keep at this, because I like hanging out with y'all, and it's a fun time. So to the live guys, thanks for hanging out. To those of you watching after the live stream, I really, really appreciate you checking it out. If you haven't already, make sure to hit like on your way out the door, subscribe to the channel, drop a comment down below if you're feeling froggy. That's going to do it for me. I've been Hat and Beard. You've been an attentive audience. Stay out of trouble. Stay out of trouble. Keep your stick on your ice. If he doesn't find you handsome, at least he'll find you handy. I can't remember them all. Anyway, that's going to be it. So, brig off.